Right, well, back on firmer ground, which is actually what we need for J, don't we?
Yes, J for jerk off circle. It is known as wanking circles, or if you're from the American part of the world, it's called jerk off. This is a circle of men who would stand in a circle and wank the person next to them. Now, there are various games which are part of this. Last person to come, there's a biscuit placed in the circle, and they've all got to try to shoot cum on the biscuit, and the last person to come eats the biscuit. The penultimate one from coming, it can be quite fun to see your friends basically having to eat a soggy biscuit.
It's the land of forfeits, isn't it? Right. K, L and M, which is not a Dutch airline, but K is for kinky.
Well, anything can be kinky. There's no strict rule of what is kinky and what is not. Anything which is different to what you're used to, really allow your imaginations to go wild. Now, I get asked so many times, what are your, do you have any inhibitions? What are the things that turn you on? I just like love. Is love kinky? No, maybe it isn't, but passion can be. Maybe your partner enjoys you coming in his face. It can be a form of kinkiness. Sex on the beach, and I don't necessarily mean the cocktail. There's so many things which one can consider kinky, which is out of what your normal sex life could be.
Speaking of a bit kinky, L is for leather.
Leather. Yeah, there's always a contraindication with leather. I knew a friend of mine who actually worked for BBC who was into leather, and he was a gentleman in his 70s, and he just smelt of urine. Bless his heart. He used to, people, you need to make sure it's clean. If you're into latex or leather, make sure that it's pleasing to the smell, unless of course you're into urine smelling leather. You've got your whips, that's all part of the leather and sub and dom fraternity. Clothing which you're basically able to wear it in the street, leather trousers, leather shirts, it can look really, really nice, but it also can be used in your sexual activities.
See, I like the smell of leather, but I'm not sure I like the smell of wee leather. No. Anyway, moving on to married men.
Married men, yeah. There is a form of fetish that guys like to go for married men. Some people find it a turn on. In the gay community, there's a lot of younger guys, or even older guys, who find attached guys a turn on. They enjoy the challenge, being able to flirt with a person who is forbidden fruit in that respect.
N, O and P. And P actually comes up later under W, just to confuse us all, doesn't it? But N is for, well, I would call it being in the noddy. Nakedness.
Well, you've got a form of nakedness here, which means being a naturist. That can be a fetish and turn on.
But I wouldn't be frying any bacon in the nude. That's not a good thing to do.
No, watch out for the spitting.
Yes, right. And speaking of kinky and naturism, we're now doing O for outdoor pursuit, aren't we? So.
Yeah, outdoor pursuits. That's sort of touched on the nakedness where it can be outside. If you're going to have sex in the outdoors, make sure it's discreet. And of course, with your sex on the outdoors, you've got things like dogging. Watch people in a voyeurism state of having sex in their car, and they basically will go to a discreet car park and wait for people to watch them have sex. It's all part of what makes the world exciting.
Now we're moving on to something that is, again, an audio version of sex, which is phone sex, isn't it? People talking to each other.
Phone sex, or even have it on the internet. You've got phone sex where it's a very old tradition. It's a quick fix sort of thing if you've got plenty of dosh, because I think it's quite expensive, £1 a minute. Especially if the man you're having phone sex with and it's on a sex line, well, make sure it's strung out, and it could be quite an expensive experience. Phone sex, I think, is quite nice if you and your partner are separated for a time. If he lives X amount of miles away from you, especially if you're young, when you're 18 and you're still living with parents and you're just wanting to have that sort of quick fix and he can hear you breathing and you can hear him, and getting towards that orgasmic state is a turn on.
So from being strung up on a sex line, we're now doing Q for quickies.
Yeah, quickies. You know, you always hear about the quickies, you know, especially when there's an office relationship, which is not known about, and people go into the store cupboard or whatever and have a quickie. It is a high risk of being caught, but that is part of it. You know, the excitement of maybe being found out.
Right. Now, we touched on R with a bit of domination, haven't we? So role play.
Yeah, role-playing. Yep, we touched on this slightly. Excuse the pun. Role-playing is a very good way of actually trying to spice up. If you've got a partner who is a bit nervous in bed or sexually, you know, it could be a fireman, it could be a pilot, it could be a nurse, it could be a doctor, it could be a spaceman. Another fetish, getting yourself wrapped up in cling film or tin foil. You know, if that does it for you, go for it. But role play, it can be very fun.
Right, now we're moving on to what I would consider quite a risky place to go sometimes, and that's S for saunas.
Have you been to a sauna, Steve?
Actually, no. Do you know,
really?
I've done a lot of things. Maybe just for you, in the next couple of weeks, I'll dip down to Covent Garden or somewhere and visit a sauna for you.
Now, there's not necessarily a dirty aspect of sauna existence. People can go to saunas because, surprisingly enough, they are a relaxing place. Before I was in a committed relationship, I very occasionally used to go to a sauna merely because, A, they had a swimming pool, and swimming naked was a wonderful experience, very liberating, and you don't have to worry about the opposite sex, if you're gay, looking at you like if you would have to on the beach or something. You have a towel around your middle, or around you know, if you're fortunate to have two towels, one around your shoulders as well, and you can show as little of yourself or as much of yourself. But please be aware, there are rooms which your feet might stick to the floor, and I don't necessarily mean due to sweat or perspiration. So if you're going to go to a sauna, make sure you wear flip-flops and make sure you wash them and make sure you know exactly what you're walking in. In saunas, you've got cafes, television room, DVD or video room where you can watch pornography. You can have orgies, you can go to the dark room, you can go to dormitories where basically you got holes in walls, anything you want in that way, but you don't have to do the sexual side. You can merely just go to have a cheap health spa, because I think they cost something around 10, 15 to 20 pounds.
About £15 to get in, I believe.
About 15, and you may be fortunate, students, you might even get your student discount.
And you get a couple of towels, I'm told, as well.
You do get a couple of towels.
It could be the cheapest place in London to stay overnight, can't it?
It can be. And I actually stayed, would you believe this, when I moved from university in Devon up to London, I actually stayed in a sauna because it cost me 10 quid with a student card, and it meant I could have a shower, I could shave, I can have breakfast, and I could sleep for 10 quid in London.
Okay, we're on to tea now, and tea is really popular as a fetish. Again, it doesn't do it for me at all, but let's do tea for trainer.
Yeah, trainers, or if you're American, sneakers. Smelling, dirty, smelly trainers. I know for myself, my partner's trainers stink, and I have to leave them outside the bedroom door because I will not have them in the room with me. People who are really into sweaty feet and sweaty shoes, if it turns you on, go for it.
Moving on to you. Now, I've got a friend who works for the police force, and he does very well out of this particular fetish. People quite like him when he dresses in his work clothes. And this is you for uniform, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of people like to, it's that whole thing, I love a man in uniform. I think it's smart, it's polished, it's nicely finished. There's something about a superiority as well about having someone in uniform that, they're going to actually reassure you, tell you what to do, take control of the situation. one thing I used to say. People used to say, "Do you like a man in uniform?" And I used to say, "Actually, I prefer him out of it."
And more friends I've actually got who do like doing this bit, which is V. They go on holiday and all they do is do the V word, which is voyeur.
Yeah, voyeur. And yeah, I actually find it a turn on someone frolicking in the grass or whatever. I cannot stop myself from actually, they look a bit intimate. If they're doing it in the open, then they got to expect to be watched, and I think that's part of their excitement, as we've touched upon already. But be aware, if you're going to be a voyeur in public toilets, which is cottaging, that is actually illegal.
Right, and now we're on to W, which I would, of course, put under P, because W is for...
Water sports. Yeah, water sports. Well, basically, having your partner urinate over you or actually poo over you. It's not something which actually appeals to me whatsoever. Water sports is not necessarily everybody's chosen occupation. It's very, very enjoyable for some.
A P is it's sterile, isn't it? It's the other end that's not at all good for you, is it? So, anyway, let's quickly move on to the Y, which is the younger for the older.
Yeah, this is a big thing, and surprise, surprise, I've actually found myself in this experience. My partner is 18 and I'm 37. So, I asked my partner the other day, he's like, am I a father? Do you see me as a father figure? And he said, no, of course not. No, not at all. It's just merely attraction. So don't always assume that the person who is a younger is looking for a parent figure in a relationship, because that'd be sort of wrong if you think about you having sex with a sort of person who's replacing your parent. Older for younger or younger for older, it is completely okay. Socially, you may get a bit of stigma thrown at you. People don't always accept. One of the rules which I always got told was half your age and then add 5. That is the average for a relationship. But hey, if you actually find yourself attracted to an older guy or a younger guy, and if they don't have a problem, go for it.
And we finally reached Z, or Z if you're an American. And this is another one of those philia things of yours, isn't it? Zelophilia, is that right?
Xenophilia. Sexual arousal from jealousy. You do get jealous if your partner is actually going to flirt with somebody or, whatever. You've got to really take stock of what your emotions are and if you're healthy. It is actually a turn on. People do get turned on by being jealous.
Right, and let's end with a word of warning and your safety message to us all, because some fetishes they carry a risk, don't they, some of them?
Yeah, all fetishes, you need to actually ask permission from the person you're actually going to have a fetish with, and B, make sure it is safe.
Well, thanks, Giles. You can find out more by going to GILES the SEX That's all one word, and do come back again soon and download some more Giles the Sex Therapist. So find out more by going to GILES That's Giles with an I. The presenter was Steve Campen with sex therapist Giles Dee-Shapland, and is a creative radio production.